This video is brought to you by Hit Point Press and the Big Bad Booklet series, and by Steamforged Games and their upcoming Kickstarter for Animal Adventures The Faraway Sea, and by Alkander's Almanac of all things, a modular 5e rules expansion on Kickstarter right now. Hello and welcome to the Gallant Goblin. We are going through the huge number of minis and the 15th unpainted wave of figures from WizKids. These minis are for Pathfinder, Starfinder, D&D, Magic the Gathering, and even a couple that are completely unbranded. Today though, we are going to look at the monster minis, or at least the non-PC minis, for Dungeons & Dragons. Many thanks to WizKids for sending these to us to review. These figures range in price from $4.99 for the little and medium minis over here, up to $14.99 for the larger ones. You can assume that a mini or a mini set is $4.99 unless I tell you otherwise. But let's go ahead and open these up and take a closer look. Let's start with a really good one, our new Death Tyrant mini. A Death Tyrant is essentially an undead version of a beholder. Not one killed and raised up as a zombie, but one whose dreams transformed it into an undead creature. They retain their vast intelligence, but become even stronger with a CR of 14. One appears in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and in random encounters in Out of the Abyss. We did get a painted Death Tyrant way back in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage set that used a different method to show the floating red eyes around it. This Death Tyrant was a rare though, so it remains fairly expensive. Anything related to the Beholder seems to be expensive and go out of stock really quickly, so go ahead and pick this one up pretty quickly if you want it. This large figure is $8.99 MSRP, and the Death Tyrant is the subject of the next Paint Night set from WizKids, which we'll be reviewing soon. How amazing is this figure? A Planetar Angel is a large-sized, lawful good CR16 Celestial who serves as the enforcers for the good-aligned gods. When they need to lay the smackdown on some wickedness, they send the Planetars into the ring. They can see through lies and illusions and can heal ailments with a touch. Way back in Monster Menagerie 2, we had a Planetar Angel Mini if you do want a pre-painted one. The Planetar stat block is in the basic rules. One appears in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and Descent into Avernus. So, gnomes like to tinker. Often this ends in singed hair and a loss of eyebrows, but sometimes true advancements are made, particularly in the area of clockwork. This set of clockwork creatures comes from Mordenkainen's tome. They're both gnomish inventions. First we have the Stone Defender, a CR4 construct made of metal and stone. It's typically used as an ambusher or a guard. Next we have the Oaken Bolter, a powered-up ballista that can shoot a variety of different bolts, from lancing damage dealers to harpoons that pull foes in, to explosive bolts that deal AoE damage. The Oaken Bolter has a CR of 5. More clockwork creatures and instructions for personalizing them are found in Mordenkainen's tome. This mini-set is pretty cool to have around for your gnome tinkerers. Hey, they managed to find a type of gnoll we didn't actually have a mini for yet. Hooray! So apparently, gnolls, charmers that they are, sometimes turn against each other and murder each other and eat each other. Then for some reason, they bring the dead fleshless gnolls back to life in the form of a Gnoll Witherling. The Gnoll Witherlings act pretty much like your regular gnolls, except that they don't eat, and they are even more dumb than your average gnoll. By the way, don't miss out on our Just Say No to Gnoll shirts in our merch store. Link in the video description down below. The Gnoll Witherlings have a CR of 1/4 and can be found in Volo's Guide. This next set includes an Allip and a Deathlock. Let's start with the Allip, a rather tall mini on a medium-sized base. An Allip is what happens when a very powerful being protects a secret with a powerful curse. If someone discovers the secret, they are annihilated and become a spectral creature with a shattered psyche known as an Allip. Little known fact, this is what happened to the person back in 2013 who discovered that a batch of IKEA meatballs had horse meat in them. Allips have a CR5 stat block in Mordenkainen's tome. Now, a Deathlock has a similar origin. When a warlock displeases their patron, sometimes they'll be struck down and raised as an undead Deathlock, forever compelled to follow their patron's orders. Sometimes Deathlocks can even be created by powerful necromancers. Deathlocks have a CR4 stat block in Mordenkainen's tome. We had another Allip mini in the Volos and Mordenkainen set, though it was a rare, so it's rather expensive on the aftermarket. We also had a Deathlock as an uncommon in Boneyard. Both are still available on the aftermarket. I can only assume that the Boneclaw was created by someone who had terrible nightmares after falling asleep on a night where they ate at the Olive Garden. When a wizard who received mostly C's in wizarding school tries to become a lich, things don't usually turn out so well, and they end up becoming these less powerful undead creatures who find themselves forever enslaved to whoever the most evil person was in their general Uber delivery area. Just not a good time. They have a CR12 stat block in Mordenkainen's Tome. The large-sized Boneclaw has an MSRP of $8.99. Another version of the Boneclaw Mini appeared as an uncommon in the Volos and Mordenkainen set from 2019. Here we have a set of 3 crawling claws. So, have you ever been to a public execution and seen a necromancer hanging out in the back, just rubbing their hands together excitedly like me in an ice cream shop? Well, turns out they're eager to go sever the hand of that murderer being offed to turn it into a crawling claw, an undead weapon of sorts that can be sent into a room to kill everyone it comes across. Though it's not particularly dangerous to adventurers given that its CR rating is 0. It can be found in the Monster Manual. We had a single crawling claw mini as a common in the Boneyard set. Yas, another hag. As you may know, most hags are tied to a particular type of terrain or location. Annis hags like the mountains and hills, and they're the largest and physically strongest of the hag sisterhood. They like to terrorize towns by manipulating children into doing terrible things, or just by kidnapping them and turning them into Birkin bags. They have a CR of 6 and are found in Volo's Guide. Waterdeep Dragon Heist had 2 Annis Hag minis, one with a little lightning spell effect. The large unpainted Annis Hag has an MSRP of $8.99. And here we have a young blue dragon. To jog your memory, the blue dragons live in barren places, have lightning breath, and like to burrow their own layers out of crystallized caverns. They're vain and territorial and like to collect gems and worshippers. This large-size mini is on a huge-size base, and it has an MSRP of $14.99, and a young blue dragon has a CR of 9. Here you can see how it compares to a couple of other recent blue dragon minis. Nightwalkers are beings from the negative plane, the place you don't want to plane shift to because it'll immediately annihilate your body and soul. It's the same thing that happens when you enter LaGuardia Airport. Nightwalkers who find themselves on the material plane just want to eliminate all manner of life that they find. Their impressive CR20 stat block is in Mordenkainen's Tome. The Nightwalker was perhaps the most popular mini from the recent Fangs and Talons set. This unpainted mini, like most of the other repeats here, has a different pose. This huge-size mini has an MSRP of $14.99. Finally, we have our Warforged Titan, obviously a creature from the Eberron setting, where these hulking constructs with minimal levels of intelligence were used to plow through enemy ranks during the Long War. They were manufactured by House Cainith, based on ancient unearthed golems built by giants. We haven't had a Warforged Titan mini since way back in the Giants of Legends set from 2004. This huge-sized unpainted Warforged Titan is $14.99. The CR8 stat block is an Eberron rising from the last war. There is another Warforged Titan mini in the upcoming Snowbound set, which we'll be sharing some previews of pretty soon here. So I'm curious what you think about these unpainted versions of pre-existing minis. It seems like for many of them, they're taking the 3D designs of them and they're putting them in new poses. I think it's fantastic. You get an unpainted, often cheaper version of a mini that may be hard to track down due to the random nature of booster boxes. And if you do have the painted version, you can get this one and use them together and you don't feel like you have clones. But, woe unto the adventuring party facing down 2 looming Nightwalkers. It does feel like they chose some popular minis to make unpainted versions of, which is great. And of course, we did get some original sculpts as well. I love the clockwork constructs for their story potential. The Planetar and the Death Tyrant look amazing. It's fantastic to get more dragon options, and there were gnolls. These minis are scheduled to hit store shelves in July 2021, though with the shipping problems plaguing the planet this year, keep in touch with your local game store in case there's any delays. Now, you're going to want to hear this. Our new sponsor is Alkander's Almanac of all things, a modular 5e rules expansion. This is a compendium of expanded rules options for your D&D games. If there are certain rules areas that you think need beefing up, this book probably has you covered. It gives you rules for so many situations that I can't even list them all here. Very quickly, we have new options for the following things: healing potions, flanking, opportunity attacks, called shots, glancing blows, resistance, skill challenges, conditions, new initiative systems, new hardcore rules, new resting options, travel systems, random encounter generators, downtime activities, social interaction mechanics, new actions to use in combat, and a reputation system. They have a whole crafting system and a complete overhaul of weapons, armors, and shields. And I'm really just scratching the surface here. The Kickstarter launched today. If this all sounds very intriguing, use that link in the video description down below to see more about it. That's Alkander's Almanac of all things. Next, thank you to Hit Point Press and their Big Bad Booklet series, a monthly zine about boss monsters for 5th edition. Each booklet gives you an adventure to run with your gaming group centered around a new boss monster. The booklet can be used as a one-shot or easily slotted into your ongoing campaigns with several options for story hooks, and they're all fully illustrated. This month, come meet Wranrebur, a demon who sows violence and chaos to satiate himself. Will you feed into his bloody desires, or can you starve Wranrebur before he gets too powerful? Subscribe today at bigbads.com. And check out the Hit Point Press web store, as they often have 1 or 2 Big Bad Booklet PDFs for free. And many thanks to Steamforged Games and their upcoming Kickstarter for Animal Adventures to Faraway Sea. This new book in the Animal Adventures line brings you new awakened animal races to play as, a new island chain setting that you can drop into your Forgotten Realms or other similar settings, new adventures to have, new magic items, enemies, NPCs, the works. Plus, there will be beautiful art and new minis by mini master Russ Charles, who made the minis for Critical Role. Click the link in the video description down below to sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter launches on July 20th, and don't miss out on the Kickstarter exclusive Baby Kraken Mini. That's Animal Adventures The Faraway Sea. And thank you for watching today. Don't forget to join our Patreon family at patreon.com/thegallantgoblin. You can also check out our new shirts and other merch at gallantgoblin.com/shop. Liking the video here helps other people find us, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Share the minis that you painted on our Discord server so you can inspire some others. You can also join us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For now, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.